honor of our very special guest tonight, we have a song from the DNC Duet.
Throughout history, there have been many, many songs written about the eternal triangle. This next one tells the story of a Mr. Grayson, a beautiful woman, and a condemned man named Tom Dooley. When the sun rises tomorrow, Tom Dooley must hang. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. I met her on the mountain, and there I took her life. I met her on the mountain, and stabbed her with my knife. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die.
So if your ears aren't bleeding yet, I'm Aaron, the one with absolutely zero musical talent.
And I'm Josh, who can sing and play the guitar at the same time. I'm actually good at something.
Yeah, I am not.
No.
I was horrendous.
No, we're not doing this again.
But it's good. The listeners can laugh at me. I'll take one for the team. It's fine.
Good deal.
But if you're listening and you have no idea what that is in reference to, I'll explain. It is the song that the counselors sing to in the original Friday the 13th. And our very special guest tonight is Robbi Morgan, who played Annie in the original Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So this is an honor to her.
Yeah, the bubbly, energetic one that kind of bought it way too early.
So in addition to that, I want to do our second giveaway. And I'm going to do a Friday the 13th Bloodbath series from Avatar Comics. Issues 1, 2, and 3, full run. So they're all mint condition. It's like a $25 to $30 giveaway. All you have to do to register and try to win is hit us up with those 5-star reviews. So search us, Dysfunctional Nerdcast, on any podcast directory, iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, whatever, and also YouTube. Leave us a review. It'll automatically enter you. And then send us an email at dysfunctionalnerdcast@gmail.com, just letting us know where you entered and what you entered. And we'll enter you into random.org. Whoever I pick, that's who's going to win.
Good deal. That's an awesome giveaway. Good books.
So we're going to give you till October 31st to enter the contest.
Halloween.
A little trick or treat from DNC.
Yeah.
And loyal listeners, don't be worried. You still can enter. If you already gave us a good 5-star review, just sign in under a buddy's account, whatever, significant other's account, use their name, emails, and say, hey, entered under such and such. Helps us out with the review. I don't care. You'll still be entered. I don't want to disencourage our loyal listeners.
No.
So without further ado, here's Robbi Morgan. All right. So how did you initially get into acting, and how did that lead you into landing the role of Annie?
Well, I was in show business from the time I was a little girl. It's a very interesting story. My mom and dad were vaudevillians, and they were acrobats. They did like a comedy acrobatic act, and my oldest brother was in the act with them because he's about 11 years older than me. But when they came off the road, then my other brother and I came along many years later, and they opened a dancing school. And from the time I was I did a Gerber's baby food commercial at 6 months old, or a French ad at 6 months old. And then when I was 5, I did my first little television show. It was a musical variety show called Craft Musical. And then I spent my whole childhood in show business. I was doing an off-Broadway show called Curly McDimple from the time I was 6 and a half all the way through I was 11. And while I was doing Curly McDimple, which was a musical, it was based on the movie Little Miss Broadway, which was a Shirley Temple movie, I would go and do other work. So when I was 9, I did a horror movie called What's the Matter with Helen.
Okay, I'm not
And
familiar, but
I'm sorry.
I don't know that one, but okay.
Oh my gosh, you've got to watch it.
I will after this,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Well, you're gonna die of laughter because it was Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters and Dennis Weaver. And in the movie, Debbie Reynolds has a dancing school. And one of the little girls in the dancing school plays Shirley Temple, and the other girl plays Mae West. And they thought I was too old for the Shirley Temple part, so they gave me Mae West. And so when I was 9, I was, in that movie playing Mae West for their little recital. And, in full blonde wig and, fake boobs and hips. I mean, Mae West singing a song called "Oh You Nasty Man." And so then I would always, I would go and do that. I would do commercials and voiceovers. I was just working like crazy in show business. And so that was my life. And then when I got a little bit older, about, I don't know, I must have been about 15, I started working again and doing commercials. And I auditioned for, at the time, I was auditioning for something else. And the casting director said, Robbie, you're not really right for what I'm doing, but down the hall, they're looking for camp counselors. And you would be perfect. So I went down the hall and, there really wasn't any script for me to take or any, lines for me to read. So they brought me, I guess it was just an interview. I can't even remember who the interview was with, but on the callback, they brought me back and Sean Cunningham was leading the audition. And again, there still wasn't anything for me to read for the movie. So it was kind of a funny thing. The audition was held at the Minskoff Theater, and it was in a big rehearsal room, right? They were seeing everybody for camp counselors, right? Everybody and their brother and their sister and everybody was auditioning for this movie. And so when I met Sean at the time, I grew up singing and dancing and being an acrobat myself. And because my folks were in vaudeville, they taught us how to do everything, So at that callback, I said, Sean, watch this. And I was tumbling. I did some tricks for him, like round off back handsprings. And, oh, Sean, watch this. I could do this. I could do that, And to this day, I really don't know why I felt the need.
It must have worked.
To show him, all my skills like that. But there wasn't any dialogue for me to read. And so after that, I guess he loved me, and I guess he made the part of Annie a little bit bigger. So it worked. And that's how I got Friday the 13th.
Okay. So were you a fan of the genre going into it? Like, did you even know what to expect? I know the movie was coming off the heels of Halloween's success. Like, had you watched that prior to?
Oh gosh, no. I'm not necessarily a fan of the genre, only because it scares the crap out of me.
That's why we like it.
I'm a scaredy cat. So even to this day, it's so funny. My brother, there was this part in that movie, What's the Matter with Helen, that to this day, when my brother calls me on the phone, if he says, can I please speak to Mrs. Hill? I'm like, it still scares the shit out of me. From when I was 9. So no, I was not a fan of the genre. I was just auditioning as an actress. Like, I was auditioning all the time. You just go on auditions. You never know, what you're going to be doing. So I didn't see Halloween, and so no, I didn't know.
So what type of movies do you like? What is your favorite genre or favorite movie, just out of curiosity?
Well, I adore, first of all, I adore musicals, like the old school kind of musical. But other than that, my favorite movies are movies like Shawshank Redemption.
Good one.
Movies like The Green Mile. I love, I love dramas. I love really interesting. I love, oh my gosh. I love so many different kinds of movies, but I love the two that I mentioned. I love movies that I could get lost in, like Sophie's Choice and, really wonderful acting and deep storylines like August Osage County, the kind of movies that move my soul and make me cry and laugh and take me on a ride. Those are the kind of movies I like.
Oh, cool.
How's that?
That's well-rounded there. One of my favorite directors and actors is Clint Eastwood. And I just watched Gran Torino. And I don't know, are those types of movies because they're like a riveting drama type, Million Dollar Baby. I don't know if you've seen those.
I loved $1 Million Baby.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I absolutely loved it. Yes, that was a great one, and I like comedies too. I love comedies, but if I'm on an airplane, and I need to pick out of all those movies, I'm going to pick something that I can really, what was one of my favorite scary movies that I watch all the time over and over? Which is kind of creepy. Shutter Island.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. But that's got a big drama element to it, so I can see that.
Oh yeah, but it was so creepy and scary at the same time,
Oh, that's good. Going back to your audition for the role of Annie, like you said, you went in there, you're tumbling around and acting so energetic and everything, and that really came across in your character. Annie's so bubbly. You see her just bouncing around on the road and petting the dog at the gas station and everything.
Yeah.
And obviously it was a boy.
Yeah.
But so did you draw on your own persona? Was that you as Annie? Because it seems like you just carried that energy over into the role, and that was now knowing
absolutely.
what you did in the audition. Now I kind of feel like we're looking at you, and was that your goal?
Yes, and I think that's what Sean, that's what Sean saw in me, and really liked, and yeah, that was me.
Well, it came across awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So you were, I guess, the third victim technically, but you were the first in the present day continuity of the movie. Did you ever think almost 40 years later you would have been one of hundreds for this to take place? I mean,
it's such an amazing thing when I got the movie. Of course, I was thrilled when I got the part, right? Because, oh my gosh, I got a movie. But while we were shooting it, nobody had any idea because it was a very low budget movie. I worked on it for 2 days, and then when it came out, it was my older brother called me. He lived in California, and he called me and he was like, Robbie, do you have any idea the business, that Friday the 13th is doing? And I was like, no. He goes, it's through the roof. It's huge. And I was like, really? We had no idea. And being the first one, I feel it's such a fun, thing to have in my back pocket after all these years, So I feel very loved, and I love it. I love that I'm the first one.
And I mean, going with the premiere process, that had to be, one of the coolest things ever. You're in this hit movie, and, it's basically number one. It made $35 million or whatnot. What was that like? Did it change your lifestyle at all? Were you able to brag to your friends? I would be bragging this up, that it's such a big deal. Did you just take it and roll with it, or was this how exciting of a time was it for you?
It was really fun when it first came out. It was playing at my hometown drive-in. There were still drive-ins, then, and that was really, really cool. And it didn't really changed my lifestyle because I barely made any money, doing the movie. It was like 2 days work, and it wasn't like, it was really fun when it first came out, but I moved on. I quickly got a Broadway show. And then I was doing the Broadway show, and the movie opened across the street in New York City from the show that I was doing. So that was really, really fun too. A bunch of us all went to see the movie, and so it was just wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it just has to be exciting, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
And the people that were in the show with you, that you take them to go to see this horror movie, what did they think? Like, was it kind of a little bit different than what you guys were doing? So,
gosh, I was so young, but about 4 or 5 of us walked across the street, and we went to see a matinee of the movie, and it was fun. It was just a lot of fun. It was like, it was terrific.
Yeah, great experience.
So going,
when you're an actress, when you're acting and you're auditioning all the time, it's like, sometimes, if you're lucky, you get a Broadway show, and then you get a commercial, or then you get a movie, and then you get and you just, you go from one thing to the next thing. I just feel very fortunate to have been a part of Friday the 13th, and to have been the first one. It's like, wow.
Yeah, you're a part of history for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that makes me feel terrific.
But going back to a little bit of the filming, since you were basically the first counselor, you didn't really get to meet the rest of the group in the movie. But did you get to meet the rest of the cast while filming, or were you actually the first shot? Like, I don't know if it was filmed in sequence or not.
I didn't get to meet the other cast members at all, except for the people that I had scenes with. I shot for my 2 days, and then the only time I had to go back was I went back for a night shoot when I'm dancing the Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back, but they were shooting, so I really didn't really meet anybody that night either. I wound up meeting Kevin Bacon, though, at a dog park here in L.A. And I went over and I said hello to him, and I said, we're in the same movie. So that was fun. He was sweet.
And if not, everybody's 6 degrees away from him anyway, right? So
I'm 1.
But you're 1, so that's even awesome.
I'm only 1 degree.
So you didn't get to work with the other, counselors and those cast members, but when you were doing the filming in the woods and you're with, presumably, Mrs. Voorhees in the Jeep and everything, we don't see her. We don't know who is in that car. We don't know who's chasing you through the woods. Who was chasing you through the woods? Like, it's a first-person perspective. Did they use a stand-in for that? Was
it strictly just a cameraman, or like?
Yep, it was Sean Cunningham and a cameraman running after me in the woods, and Sean was directing me in the moment. He was telling me, trip, get up, fall, your leg is hurting, look around. In the moment, he was directing me while we were running in the woods.
It was in the moment, and you were like ad-libbing this the whole time, like just whatever he said to do, you're just like bang, improv on the spot, and
yes,
that's great.
I was, and that was a lot of fun. That was great. So we did that, and it was okay. Are you ready to find out who was driving the Jeep?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It was Tasso, Tom Savini's assistant.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. It was him driving the Jeep.
And
it's also him, it's Tasso that also kills me.
Okay. I was going to ask, how was the prosthetic process like working with Tom?
Oh, it was a lot of fun working with Tom. I had the most fun with Tom and Tom Savini and Tasso, because they were a lot of fun, and Tom is great at what he does, and so I had to. The first time I met those two guys, the first thing that happened was I went on a train to Connecticut, and I met Tom, and Tasso was there too. They set up a studio in Connecticut. I don't know why they set it up in Connecticut, but I guess they did. I don't know. Anyway, so I was there, and they measured my neck. They had to take some measurements, and they put the mold on my neck and everything, and they made the incision and everything, and then Tom did his magic, and then the day of the shoot, it was a very small little piece that they glued on and put makeup over, and we did the whole thing. We did the death scene once.
Wow. Okay.
Once. We did it once.
So it always makes it so realistic too. Then it's like everything about that scene is raw because now knowing that how you ad-libbed everything and you're working off your pure emotion, and then the one take on the death scene, it's like real.
Yeah, and they, before we shot the scene with the blood, because what they did was they put the. Oh, that's so funny! I'm getting a call, guys. Can you hear that?
No, but we had one a minute ago too, so I don't know how it played through.
We're all popular people, right?
Yeah.
Hence the editing capabilities.
I'm not going to answer. I'm doing a podcast, for God's sake. So what Tom did was he put this like little tube under the little piece of rubber, my neck, and then he ran it out my sleeve, and that's how he worked the blood. So right before we did the scene, right before we did it for real, of course we tried, just all I had to do was just put my head back for that little incision to open up, and then Tom timed it, when to squeeze the blood so that he timed it perfectly so that it would run up the little tube in my shirt and out. So that's why there's that like delayed reaction when I put my head back before the blood comes out. It's kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so natural.
But we only did it once with the blood because they were losing the light, and again, very low budget movie, and they were concerned about the blood staining my skin. So as soon as we did it, I jumped on the back. Tom had a little scooter. I jumped on the back of the scooter and went right to a shower to get the blood off.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What was in that?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I don't know, but
I guess if they had to do reshoots, they don't want you stained up, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the blood was as good as it is now when, in movies. And so whatever he used would have really stained my skin. So he wanted to get it, wanted me to get it right off.
So you're like on the back of this scooter with like a cut neck, like on public roads, like going somewhere. So imagine like someone seeing this.
Not on a public road.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right at the camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we shot it. We shot it at
right
the camp.
there. Oh.
So going back to the Mrs. Voorhees thing, I mean, it's from the audience perspective, we have no idea. It's a mystery until the very end. Did you know the script going into it that you knew she was going to be the killer, or was it a surprise to you as well? Did they keep that away from you?
Somebody asked me that recently. I must have known because I read the script. I must have known that it was Mrs. Voorhees. I can't remember vividly right now how I felt about it then, because I was so glad to be working and doing this movie, and at the time I must have known that it was Mrs. Voorhees and that it was Betsy Palmer, but really and truly, they were shooting this movie and really flying by the seat of their pants to get it done. So isn't it strange that they would have Tasso use a man's arm to kill me? I think that's really odd,
Misdirection, perhaps.
What?
It could have been misdirection, perhaps. I don't know.
Maybe, but it was sort of like, Tasso, go bring the Jeep around. Oh, Tasso, get the knife. Tasso, you're in this shot. You know, it was sort of like that.
So I know you said you're not a big fan of the genre, but do you keep up with the franchise, the series itself at all, just to see kind of like what direction they're going into?
I hate to disappoint you, but I haven't seen any of them.
Okay. Just curious. It's just like
I know
you started it, so it's kind of like your baby, I would imagine. But
you know, I was someplace last night and they showed a clip of part 4. No, part 5 actually, and I was like, wow, you know. I haven't experienced all the Jasons because I haven't seen any of them. So I actually knew the guy playing Jason in part 5. Tom Morgan,
yes.
Yeah. He's a dear friend of my brother's, actually.
Really? Okay.
And I had no idea that my brother knew him until recently when I was at a convention and Tom was there. And we got to talking, and he's like a dear friend of my brother's because my brother was also a stuntman for his whole adult life. So crazy, small world.
So I bet you at a show at Chiller in Parsippany, New Jersey, a few years ago, and you really seem to embrace at least the Friday the 13th series in that. I mean, you wear kind of the Annie motif, which I think is awesome.
Oh, do you? I do it for all you guys.
I love it.
For all the fans.
I love it. And I saw recently on your Facebook that you went back to Blairs Town and were, in front of the arches and so forth, taking pictures. But I think that's just really cool that you're out in front of the fan community and do what you do.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I mean, the fans, you all love the movie so much. And, you're all so sweet to me, and it's a lot of fun. I did go back, and there was a trolley that back in Blairs Town, and we went to all the different locations where I walked and where I was hitchhiking, and it was a lot of fun. And we took group pictures at each stop. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I use your line about the kids all the time. So you make us sound like a bunch of goats. I always say that in real life. As sad as that is.
Oh, yeah, I hate when they call them kids. Yeah, it sounds like little goats. What kind of line is that? Oh, man.
So, Robbie, Betsy Palmer would talk about how critics, like film critics, they don't really appreciate the horror genre as much as everything else.
Uh-huh.
And, she didn't really get how the film was appreciated by all the fans until she actually got out and started meeting them. And I know you don't watch a lot of horror films yourself, but how do you feel maybe about like the horror genre not getting its due sometimes? And we just had that movie Get Out that came out in February that kind of helped bridge the gap a little bit, and brought horror a little bit mainstream, I think, for a lot of people. But like Friday the 13th, like people didn't think it was like, I mean, hardcore fans, yes, we know about it, we love it, but is it time for horror to get its due in mainstream media and be appreciated?
Well, it's kind of it's a tricky thing because
it just broke my heart that Betsy was kind of like just like dissatisfied, I guess, with how she was treated critically, even though, I mean, it's a very loved movie. It kind of just broke my heart. I just didn't know did you ever experience anything like that in your career, as far as like not being necessarily looked down upon, but just like not getting its full due for what it is. And whether they like it or not, it is an all-time movie.
Well, Betsy Palmer was a theater actress. She was a legit actress. She did amazing work. So I think she just took Friday the 13th because she needed some extra money. And in her, never ever in her wildest dreams did she ever imagine it, exploding the way it did, and then becoming, from the fans, she's beloved by all the fans, She never, ever, ever could have imagined, you never know, in this business, when you get a job, how it's going to be received or how it's going to be affected, how the fans are going to be affected. You don't ever know that, So we all know that, we all take that with, I'm sure she took that with a grain of salt, that we don't, I'm sure she didn't give that too much attention,
Mm-hmm.
because work is work, and I'm sure she was thrilled to do the movie, and then she was received, by the fans, like it people didn't know who Betsy Palmer was before Friday the 13th. The theater goers knew, and there were, of course, people knew, but they not on the scale that she became known after Friday the 13th. Isn't that incredible?
Is it true your brother, I read, was in a play with Betsy Palmer and Peter Pan?
Yes.
That's
Betsy
that brings
Palmer,
you like full circle. That's so ironic that then you would be in a movie with her.
Isn't that crazy? Betsy Palmer did a production of Peter Pan, and Betsy played Peter Pan, and Sandy Duncan played Wendy, and my brother was 16 years old, and he was one of the lost boys. And so, that's happened a couple of times to me in my career. Friday the 13th being one of them with Betsy Palmer, but also I did the Broadway show Barnum with Jim Dale, and my brother Gary was in the movie Pete's Dragon with Jim Dale as well. So isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's a small world.
Yeah,
I guess.
It really is. Like everybody and Friday the 13th like brings it all. It's like glue.
And speaking of a small world, we just had Bob Elmore on from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was a stunt double in The Great Outdoors, which we also saw you did a stunt in. Did you?
Oh my gosh, that was my worst. Oh my god.
So he doubled John Candy. Like, did you know Bob? Did you work with him at all during that film? And can you explain what exactly you did during The Great Outdoors?
Oh my gosh. Okay, no, I did not get to meet Bob. My brother Gary, okay, not only did he do regular stunt jobs, but he also would double the animals. So he doubled the dog in Cujo.
Oh, wow,
he was in the dog suit. He was in the dog suit in Cujo.
So there's a famous picture of them doing like a line dance, like a step in the dog outfit. That's your brother? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know about, whatever picture, he was in the dog suit.
All right, it's got to be him. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
His name is Gary Morgan. So, and then he also doubles the kangaroo in the movie Matilda. And guess what he did in The Great Outdoors?
The bear.
The bear. And so he called me and he said, Robbie, I'm doing this, playing a bear in this movie, and I can't do, a couple days on it. Do you want to fill in for me? So I said, oh, sure. I'd love to fill in, right? The night before I had to show up, I said, I better put that bear suit on because I just have to put it on before I go there so that I know what I'm doing. And it was my worst nightmare because I was claustrophobic. Because once you get in the suit, and then you put the bear head on, and they put the claws, the hands on, the claws and everything, you can't undo the suit yourself. You can't. You need help. And so, like if you have to go to the bathroom or something, you cannot undo. You can't get out of the bear suit yourself. So the night before I had to go do the shoot, I'll never forget it. I put the head on and I got in the suit and I put the hands on. I was like, "Get me out! I hate it. Get me out of here. Unzip me. Take it off. Take it off."
I'm
So the next
surprised
day
the
when I
suit
had-
would even fit. It's got to be humongous.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. But you're kind of like in there, you know. It's a bear suit, so you're kind of just, I don't know. I somehow it just. The good news is I didn't have to put the whole suit on when I went to do the movie. All I had to do was put on the head, and I was doing one of the scenes with Dan Aykroyd, and the whole time I was sitting there with the head on only. Dan was talking to the bear, and I was kind of moving my head from side to side, you know, like a bear would if it was listening to somebody talking to it, you know. And the whole time, the director was asking Dan if, you know, are you okay? Is this working for you? You know. And so that was that. That was that whole thing. I only had to put the head on.
It sounds like such
Thank
a
goodness.
surreal experience. Like I'm trying to picture this in my head now, and I'm just like, this is.
Oh, and it was
really...
a big bear head too. It was a big bear head. But I could put it on and kind of put my hands up in there and kind of just, you know, I was so grateful I didn't have to be Velcroed in, you know.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know. I just think it's funny just sitting across from Dan Aykroyd with the bear head on. And just that's awesome. I think it's great.
I hope I get an opportunity to meet him one day, so I could say, you know, we've already met.
Might not recognize me with the bear head on.
You might not recognize me, but we've met.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, showbiz.
You've had like a very diverse career, like from your youth and, you know, your parents being in show business, and you're in the horror movie. You were a bear in The Great Outdoors.
Broadway.
Yeah, I mean, a great storied career. I mean, I think it's great you had all these experiences, but what we want to know, and some of our fans want to know, is what are you up to now? Are you active now doing things? Are you, you know, kind of tired from acting? Do you just do the convention circuits? You know, we see you out there.
I'll tell you what happened. I got married to somebody I'm sure you all know, Marcel Wahlberg.
Yep.
He's the host of Antiques Roadshow, and he's also the host of, he did a lot of, so many different things, game shows, and he had his own talk show. And we had two incredible children who are now grown. My son is a Navy pilot.
Wow. That's awesome.
And my daughter is a professional ballerina.
Wow.
She dances with the Kansas City Ballet Company. So if you're ever in Kansas City, go see Goldie. Her name is Goldie Wahlberg. And now I am getting back to work, so to speak. I mean,
awesome.
I'm not doing anything at the moment. I've been working on writing a one-woman show because I have so many incredible stories to tell. And I sing and dance. And so that's been a real, you know, project of the heart. I'm really excited to share some of my great stories that I have. And I'm hoping to get back to acting.
Oh, that'd be great.
And work again, because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But while the kids were growing up, somebody had to be the mom. And
Sure.
And that was me.
So,
and so now that they're out of the house, it's back to work.
I gotta ask, with two kids, did you expose them to the film, and if so, at like what age? What did they think of seeing their mom get killed on screen?
Well, gosh, you know, they weren't too young. I didn't show it to them when they were too young, but then once they saw just my scene, they loved it. It was like, wow, cool, Mom, cool. That's so cool. It wasn't until they became like teenagers then I really became a cool mom. When it came out that I was the first one killed on Friday the 13th, then it was a whole different story.
Of course.
Now it's like, it's a really, really fun thing that they get to tell their friends,
Yeah, if that was my friend's mom, I'd be like, let's hang out at your house today.
Well, it's really really a fun thing. I love it. But I'm hoping to to start doing some more fun, acting things. We'll see. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled for sure.
So this
Aw.
the show that you're working on, the one woman show, and you're writing it and everything. Is this something that you would like? Is this something you would like to take on tour nationally, or be something local you would do? Like, what's your goal on that?
Well,
I think it's a great idea.
You know what I'd love? Well, I think what I'm going to do is once it's up on its feet in a theater, I'm probably going to film it.
Oh.
I'm going to film it, and because it's well, we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, that's my intention, is to do it on its feet and film it, and then see where that goes. I don't know, but also to do a show and to have it run in a theater is tricky because to get audience. It's just a tricky thing, to fill the seats, to have people come and see it and keep it running and pay for the theater and Yeah. So I thought it would be really fun to do it with an audience, a live audience, and film it.
Sounds
and
cool.
film it.
So do you have any?
Yeah, you have any? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I think the fans would love it, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow, wouldn't it be fun to put it out there and somehow fill the theater with Friday the 13th fans?
I know
You're my best audience.
you would the whole theater would probably be packed with those fans alone, and just what you touched on with like your life experiences. I mean, we all want to hear more about that. And that's a great avenue to share those stories.
Yeah, and I've got such amazing stories because, I mean, my whole family was in the business, and literally my whole family's in the business. You're gonna love this. I have a niece. My brother Gary's daughter is Samara in the Ring 3.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, her name is Bonnie Morgan, and she plays Samara in the Ring. I've never seen it because I don't like horror movies.
There's a classic remake coming out called Suspiria, and it's about a ballet dancer.
Oh, really?
So that might touch home for you. I don't know if you want to watch that one because it might touch a little too close, but interesting.
What's it called?
Suspiria.
It's a remake.
Suspiria?
Suspiria.
Oh.
And it's a remake. Originally came out in the 70s. It was an Italian-made film.
Dario Argento. It comes out next month.
Yeah. And it's along the lines of almost like Rosemary's Baby kind of horror-ish. At least the original one was. We don't know what the remake would be, but it's that kind of line of horror. So it's not like hardcore, but there are some freaky scenes.
And it's about a ballet dancer?
Yes.
It's like a haunted ballet.
Yeah, the ballet dancer goes abroad to study.
Weird.
Yeah, ballet dancer goes abroad to study, and these weird things happen in the ballet house. And it's creepy, definitely creepy.
Very. I mean, I don't know. What are they going to do? Like put knives on the tutu? Razor blades.
That's in part 2.
Hanging off of her tutu. My husband was making a joke about this. Point shoes as nunchucks. That's funny. I bet you they do stuff like that. Oh my God.
So do you have any appearances coming up that we can let people know about, or how can people follow you to keep up on some of these projects that you're going to have upcoming?
Well, I don't really have anything to plug at the moment. So,
but we can follow you on Facebook for like any upcoming announcements, or how should fans keep track?
Ooh, maybe like Twitter.
Okay.
Instagram, Twitter.
And hey, if you ever have anything, you can always message us. We will definitely, air it out and put it on our social media. Absolutely for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we thank you again so much for taking your time, coming on with us. It was a blast to talk to you. Really appreciate it. It's just, we love the movie and we're big fans, obviously. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for reaching out and having me. And it was great.
So that was our awesome interview with Robbi Morgan from Friday the 13th.
Very insightful. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Learned some things I would have never known.
Absolutely. Like the great outdoors, man. That's awesome.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. I like that a lot. She a little bit of hidden trivia in there. So
be sure to follow her on Facebook under Robbi Morgan Wahlberg. See she'll make any announcements that are coming up or just see what she's up to.
Yeah.
And then be sure to follow us.
Yes. On the Twitter at the Nerdcast. Facebook, Dysfunctional Nerdcast. Just give us a search. We'll pop up. Always email us at dysfunctionalnerdcast@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube where Aaron posts his awesome toy videos, the reviews that he does. All of our podcasts are also on YouTube to listen to if that's the way you want to do it.
And also don't forget the awesome prize we're giving away. Just give us those 5-star reviews on any of those podcast directories, YouTube or Facebook. That'll enter you in. And you have until October 31st to get those in.
And to be on the safe side, if you do leave that review, which you better, and we hope you do, send us an email, all right? And let us know where you did leave it. It's kind of like your double entry in a way. Think of it that way.
Hey, enter as many times as you want. Just use different users. I don't care. Enter early and often.
Right. Email us, dysfunctionalnerdcast@gmail.com. Let us know where, when, how, and you will be entered.
So until next time, hold your head up high, unlike Tom Dooley.
Hey, everybody. This is Robbi Morgan, and you're listening to the Dysfunctional Nerdcast.